The views and opinions expressed by the host do not state or reflect those of the company and its management. Furthermore, the views, opinions, and insinuations made by the host, guests, do not reflect those of the show, the management, and the network. Magandang gabi, Pilipinas. Power has changed hands, alliances have shifted, and after weeks of political maneuvering, the battle for control of the Senate has finally reached a turning point. But beyond the numbers lies a bigger question. Is this about leadership or power? Tonight, we examine the political drama, the legal questions, and the implications for a nation watching closely. Let's get inside the story. I am Ox Baliado, and this is the PH Insider on TV. To help us navigate the legal and the political implications of today's biggest developments, we are joined by a 2023 Gawad Manileño sa law practice ng City of Manila, a doctor of civil law, and has been into law practice as a litigation lawyer for 30 years, about 3 decades, ladies and gentlemen. We have here joining us tonight, Attorney DJ Jimenez. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir. Thank you for having me again.
All right, welcome to the PH Insider. And also to help us make sense of the developments affecting our country, we are joined by an educator and academic with valuable expertise and insight. Welcome to the PH Insider on TV, Assistant Professor Dr. Zen Rodriguez.
Good evening, and thank you for being part of this.
All right, and of course, to strengthen this roundtable of insights, we are joined by our resident political analyst, a veteran in the field of political issues, known for his bold, direct, and intelligent insights and explanations. Now, one of the most in-demand and fast-rising voices in political talks and public affairs discussions, an academician from the University of Santo Tomas, and an international relations expert, Professor Dr. Dennis Coronacion.
Thank you, Sir Ox, and good evening to everyone.
All right, here we go again, Doc Dennis.
Oh, yes.
Okay, naguguna po sa isyong mga pinag-uusapan ngayon ng bayan.
Nagbayad ng pagtanggap ng ilang senador mula sa Cayetano Block kay Senator Win Gatchalian matapos itong mahalal bilang Senate President. Pansamantalang sinuspinde ang special session pagkatapos ng quorum kanina upang bigyang daan ang pagdinig ng Commission on Appointments. Dito na isa-isang nagpakita ang minority senators kasama na si Senator Loren Legarda na nagpahayag ng pagbati sa hanay ni Gatchalian.
Congratulations. I'm truly, sincerely happy kay Sherwin.
Okay.
He's a good friend, very competent, brilliant, disciplined, and we work well together. Congratulations. So happy for him, for the institution.
Okay.
Number 2, congratulations to former Senate President, Minority Leader Tito.
Yes,
Diba? Siya na ang pro tem. And willingly, happily, I've relinquished because they have the 13 votes.
Para naman kay Senator Bongo, ang 13 na bilang lamang ng senador ang kanilang hinihintay upang tuluyang kinalari ng liderato ni Gatchalian.
Majority rules, yan naman po. This is a collegial body. Tapos na po. So, let's move on with the new leadership, with the new majority. This is democracy. Gano'n naman talaga.
Umaasa naman si Senator Risa Ontiveros na patuloy ang pakikipagtulungan ng minorya upang magampanan ng tungkulin ng institusyon. Nagpasalamat din ito kay Senator Joel Villanueva sa pagsama sa kanilang hanay upang maituloy na umano ang kanilang trabaho. Samantala, pinagpapatuloy ngayon ang pagdinig ng Commission on Appointments at nakatakdang mag-resume pagkatapos ito ang special session kung saan inaasahan ng dumalo ang minority senators. Mula rito sa Senado, ako si Gazi Sare para sa DHTV News.
At this juncture, let's touch on or talk about this Senate leadership issue that appears to be or to have been settled after several weeks of political uncertainty. Alright, and well, at this time, kaya kailanganin natin yung legal at yung
Yes.
political na mga opinion ng ating mga kasama dito, mga kaibigan. Is this process, masasabi ba nating that led to the transition valid and defensible, Attorney DJ?
Of course, what the recent event showed us is that quite clearly yung issue as to the applicability of the Avellino doctrine has been somehow resolved in a way na hindi na ito issue sa ngayon, yung Avellino versus Cuenca. Kasi no less than we now have the majority of 13. Kasi hindi katanggap-tanggap yun sa Cayetano Block eh. And in my previous interviews, palagi kong ang sinasabi, only the Supreme Court can settle this issue. And of course, it will take time for the Supreme Court to
comment,
to decide on this. So it's very important na meron lang isa na sumama sa either block, tapos yung issue on the 13 majority senator. So somehow it somehow puts to rest, no, the issue of quorum. But if you look at the bigger picture, sa akin, no, I'm not a political analyst again, no, but as a lawyer, I think this is only a temporary resolution, as I may say, kasi it is still possible and hypothetical that we might not have a functioning senator if Senator Bato will be brought to Hague. And of course, may lumabas kahapon that Senator Go has been issued a warrant of arrest. So if this news is accurate and possibly hindi pa naglalabas ang Supreme Court ng resolution doon sa petition ni Bato, as far as the government is concerned, what must be good for the goose must be good for the gander. So what they did to Duterte, they can do to Bato. So if that happens, we will lose two functioning senator. What happens now when we proceed with the votation or even sa impeachment, no, going beyond?
Yes.
Is it still going to be 2/3 of all members o yung functioning senators lang? So pwede pa ring maging issue at the proper time.
That's the perspective of a legal mind.
Yeah.
I was about to throw the question away from.
And if I may add, no,
Yes.
if that happens, we have 22 senators. 2/3 would be 14. Although the Constitution is clear, ano, 2/3 vote of all members ang sinasabi. Pero,
All right.
of course, when you put two lawyers, there will also be two opinion, no? And if the Senate will also insist, no, the new majority will insist, hindi, ang spirit ng Constitution is functioning senator, then still an issue.
Okay, Professor Dana, before I let you give your comment, I want to give the floor to Dr. Zenos. Is this some sort of a transition valid or defensible po ba ito, being a political analyst?
If we're going to take a look at the constitutionality of it, as mentioned by Attorney DJ, that the legal justification of such move was based on Avellino versus Cuenco, then I think this is a justified move because he cited the landmark 1949 Supreme Court precedent. So, yung numbers kasi na sinasabi ni Attorney DJ based on that move was actually a very logical move. Although Cayetano, the issue right now is not about that, the way I look at it. It is the executive intervention already. And the 13th vote, which was done yesterday on June 17. So I think the issue right now is more of knowing that the acting presidency under a disputed 12-vote quorum faced a looming Supreme Court challenge from the Cayetano camp. This is then that President Marcos stepped in, diba? That's the reason why he called for a special session yesterday to break the legislative paralysis.
Okay. Very well said, huh?
Yeah.
Dr. Zen. Professor Dennis.
Sa akin naman, Sir Ox, balikan natin yung June 3. June 3 is a very important date because this was the day when Congress, or rather Senate, held a session despite the absence of the Cayetano-led bloc. And in that session, the so-called new majority elected the set of officers, the highest of which was Senate pro tempore.
Right.
And then the Senate pro tempore was elected as the acting Senate President.
Correct.
Bakit ko sinasabi yun? Kasi importante yan. That was the beginning of this legal issue. Both legal and political actually. Oo, kasi parehong may ano eh. Pero this is actually a political matter. That's my point of view. Kasi alalahanin natin na yung Senate rules, the Constitution, these are meant to, guide our senators in terms of behaving, in terms of interacting with one another and with the other branches. Ngayon, it just so happened na on June 3, parang naging katanungan, teka, valid ba yung ginawa? And this was the beginning that people began asking, valid nga ba yun? And so after that, it seemed that there were two courses to resolve the issue, leadership issue. Should we go the legal way or should we go the political way? So kaya nagkaroon ng debate, both from the legal field and the yung mga political analysts. And so, well, fortunately, kasi ang iniisip was that if this would go the legal way, medyo matatagalan. Kasi magfa-file ang petition sa Supreme Court.
At may nag-file na.
Nag-file na.
Sa the Cayetano block, right?
Yes. Initially, there's a taxpayer who filed pero na-dismiss.
Oh, yeah.
For lack of locus
High school
standing.
teacher, that's right.
So ano nang ibabaw dito sa ngayon?
Well, yung na-witness natin kahapon,
Yes, okay.
political means.
Okay.
So, yun. At least with finality, I suppose, we already had, they already had reached the numbers 13. Yun ang hinihintay ni former Senate President Alan Peter Cayetano to concede. And he did concede.
Well, that's the only point din lang naman inaantay din ng hindi lang nila, pati ang taong bayan. Kasi pag nag-13, it's pretty obvious.
Choice.
Tapos na yung usapan.
Irrelevant yung concession because 13
irrelevant na nga, tama.
Okay, the leadership battle raised questions about, of course, yung quorum, majority rule, and Senate tradition. Ano yung mga lessons dito na pwedeng mapulot ng mga lawmakers natin, as well as the public, of course, considering itong show sa Senado? For lack of a better term, we call it a show.
As old as it gets, there's no permanent friends in politics, only permanent interest, di ba?
I agree,
And,
okay.
I think ang magandang naging issue rito is iba yung for purposes of quorum, iba rin yung for purposes of electing a Senate President, at iba rin yung for purposes of majority decision. Kasi for purposes of quorum, clearly applicable naman yung Abilino versus Cuenco. Kasi doon sa kaso na yun, yung mga senators who are unable to be within the coercive power of the Senate, obviously, hindi na dapat sila kasama for purposes of quorum. Kasi whether you subpoena them or not, kung nasa abroad, hindi naman makakapunta yun. So, bawas na sa counting. Pero ang naging issue rito, kay Senator Jinggoy, since he is under what we refer to as custodia legis, or legal custody ng another branch of government, hindi talaga din uubra ang coercive power ng Senate. So, talagang labas siya. Pero may issue pa rin left hanging, which is paano yung si Senator Bato? It's still actually a contentious issue whether he should be considered as a fugitive from justice, because a fugitive from justice, as decided by the Supreme Court, is a judicial declaration.
Correct.
So pag ikaw ay na-issuehan ng warrant, despite the attempt to arrest you, you escape or you avoid the wheels of justice, fugitive ka na. But remember, the case of Bato stems from a warrant issued by a foreign jurisdiction which is subject of a Supreme Court petition. So, personally and as a lawyer, until and unless there's really a court declaration holding him as a fugitive from justice, the term fugitive from justice as against Bato may be regarded merely as a political statement. Of course, nobody can prevent the executive department to brand him as such, no? But in the context of legal discourse, hindi ito technically fugitive pa kasi nilay down ng Supreme Court, no? In the interest of due process, ito ang requirement bago ka maging fugitive. Una, may warrant na na-serve. Yung warrant na na-serve, dinirect ang law enforcer na hanapin ka. Tapos hindi ka, despite effort to arrest you, nagtago ka. Yan, fugitive ka na. And as a fugitive from justice, there are legal consequences. You lose your legal remedies. So ito ay very technical. So yung issue, whether he should be counted sa quorum, is really a valid contentious issue na Supreme Court nga lang talaga yung mga decide, and thankfully naging mooted na siya for purposes of choosing the Senate leadership kasi nga naging 13 na. But as I will repeat again, the problem doesn't end here. It's still something that can become an issue at some future time, lalo na siguro pagka nag-proceed yung impeachment sa July 6. Kasi there will be motions that may be filed. Of course, kung yung 13 ang magre-result, talagang majority na yan. But moving forward, yung 2/3 could really be an issue. And quite interestingly, the petition filed in the Supreme Court, although seemingly, ang tawag dyan parang moot and academic na eh. Kasi nga, yung pinaprevent niya, hindi mo na mapiprevent yun dahil nga overtaken by events. But if the Supreme Court can see that the issues raised are not just really of transcendental importance, but this will potentially avoid yung constitutional crisis in the future. Kasi imagine, there will surely be a lot of opposing views on the 2/3. Although si Senate President already said, 16. But still, no, the majority can prevail upon him. Kung may 30 na magsabi, hindi. 2/3 should be counted not on the membership but on the functioning membership. At pwede kasing i-invoke yung tinatawag nating ratio lehis. It's a principle in statutory construction. Statutory construction is means, no, kung may vagueness in the provision, you resort to statutory construction. And yung ratio lehis, parang the intent is more important than the text. Iba naman yung verba lehis, some constitutionalists would say, unless the Constitution say otherwise, we just follow it. So, contentious issue. Kaya, I think and I hope, in the interest of peace, the Supreme Court will give due course to the petition of Senate President former Senate President Cayetano, which may or may be favorable to the opposition. Kasi pag sinabi ng Supreme Court na, enough na yung functioning senators, then 2/3 becomes 14 in the scenario I said earlier.
Doc Zen, meron kang gustong itagdag tungkol dito sa lessons na pwedeng...
I think more than the lessons, it gave us a scenario, a very big overview of the workings of Philippine democracy.
Okay.
It's more than just the lessons learned, not only for the senators but for the public. Kasi seeing what has happened, we saw that politics in the Philippines is a struggle for survival and authority. Diba? There is no, it is not about ideology. Political platforms, party platforms mean very little. It's the numbers that is really very important to them. Come to think of it, diba? We changed Senate President, Senate leadership 4 times in less than a year.
Yes.
So parang pinapakita na of
history
how,
to.
Yeah, it's 4 times. It's just it's starting September, I guess. That's really 4 times, di ba? So this volatility proves that there really is no ideological anchor doon sa ating mga senators. The pro-Marcos faction, we might call them that, di ba? They didn't change their political beliefs, either on June 3 or then, when was that? June 7.
Yes.
They didn't change their political beliefs. They simply concentrated on the numbers that they have. That's what I saw. So they realized that the other bloc was vulnerable due to the recent, the arrests and the absences that that their members had. So they launched this calculated move to control the upcoming impeachment. That's how I think this is taking it a little bit further na, kasi mamaya pa yun pag-uusapan. Second part is yung concept pa rin natin ng clientelism sa Philippine politics. With the you can see kasi how fluid the networks of Philippine politics is. Kaya I was stressing earlier kanina the role of the executive branch yesterday. Kasi we look at the executive branch as the patron dispensing these resources to the clients who are actually the senators, diba? For political survival. So that's how I see it. It's more than just the lessons. It's more of giving the public the scenario that this is not democracy, this is politics at work in the Philippines.
Sa makatuwid, malinaw pa sa tubig na political talaga.
Yeah.
Yes,
Very clear that
Okay.
it was what unfolded was a power struggle between the two factions.
It's a
in the
concrete
Senate.
manifestation there.
That's right. Undeniable yan.
Yes.
So, ang ano doon, ang nakakatuwa dito, at least from the standpoint of political analysts, is that how did the new majority manage to convince some of the senators from the Cayetano-led bloc to transfer to their group, diba?
Yes.
Ito yung interesante
Medyo
dito. No?
intriguing.
Mang weaponization.
That's right.
Paano ba ginawa ito?
Well, only Senator Villanueva can answer this.
Yes.
So I think he owes also yung mga bumoto sa kanya na ipaliwanag. At ang paliwanag naman niya, sabi niya, para matigil na. He is taking, in effect, he's making this ultimate sacrifice for the people.
Pero attorney, naniniwala ka ba doon?
Your guess is as good as mine. Gusto kong itanong...
Isn't that something that's already been expected?
ang balita daw kasi sa kanya yung pinakamadali na hindi siya tuluyan. Sinasabi dahil wala naman talaga siyang flood control. So, yan ang mga chismis lamang naman.
Sabi nung nakikimarte sa akin, sabi, hopefully he gets exonerated from the from those accusations, di ba?
It's a collapsing political alliance. They have to ask themselves, di ba? Do I stay loyal dun sa minority or do I risk going down with them? Or what? Do I defect early to protect my own future? yun yung katanong.
So may political and legal calculations involved.
Yeah, that is.
in deciding.
It's a rational self-preservation move, I guess.
Meron akong tanong sa ating mga political analysts dito.
Sige, attorney.
If you compare what has happened in our country or is happening, yung best practices sa ibang bansa, ganyan din ba na they change Senate leadership 4 times in a year? How do you compare it? Halimbawa sa US o sa iba, ganyan din ba sila ka unstable?
Or in world history, maybe. Sige, di ba? Balikan natin. Meron bang naging
May
ganito?
ganyan ba na ibang bansa?
Ako, with what I've read, I mean, with what you guys have read also, perhaps.
Pasensya na.
Japan has
Kasi yung-
changed
Yung
leadership.
Pol Pot okay.
Parliamentary, right? They change leadership every now and then.
Well, actually, ito namang naisip ko agad, it's not a case of leadership change in a legislative department. Kung hindi, in an executive department. Like recently in the case of South Korea,
Yeah.
na-impeach yung kanilang president. Then just a few weeks after,
Meron na.
the new president is also being impeached. So, ganun kabilis. Sabi ko, ano kayong pwede mag-explain, posibleng makapagpaliwanag dito? Talaga bang ito ay isang legal matter? O baka mamaya, kasi syempre, pag final ng impeachment ang isang presidente, isipin mo, meron siyang mga violations, di ba? Sa batas ng bansa nila.
Yes.
Pero if you look deeply into what happened, makikita mo that there is some kind of political dynamics involved.
It's actually more on.
Yes.
I would like to believe it's more political.
Yeah, it's more
than
political.
legal as a process. Okay, the battle for power may be over, but the real test begins now. After the break, we'll discuss whether this change in leadership will bring real results or simply a new set of political players at the helm. You're watching the PH Insider on TV, so please stay with us.
Narito na ang schedule ng inyong paboritong Lotso games mula sa Philippine Charity Sweepstakes Office.
Araw-araw ang draws ng 2D Lotto at 3D Lotto tuwing alas 2 ng hapon, alas 5 ng hapon at alas 9 ng gabi.
At pagsapit ng alas 9 ng gabi, sasamahan pa yan ng Big Time Games. Tuwing Lunes, magpapapremyo rin ang 4D Lotto, Mega Lotto 645 at Grand Lotto 655.
Pagdating ng Martes, magdadala ng panalo ang 6D Lotto, Lotto 642, Super Lotto 649 at Ultra Lotto 658.
Tuwing Miyerkules, umaarangkada ang papremyo ng 4D Lotto, Mega Lotto 645 at Grand Lotto 655.
Pagsapit ng Huwebes, tutok na sa 6D Lotto, Lotto 642 at Super Lotto 649.
Mapapanood naman tuwing Biyernes ang pagbola ng winning numbers ng 4D Lotto, Mega Lotto 645 at Ultra Lotto 658.
At tuwing Sabado, abangan ang 6D Lotto, Lotto 642 at Grand Lotto 655.
Sigurado namang pasasayahin ang araw ng linggo ng exciting prizes ng Super Lotto 649 at Ultra Lotto 658.
Sali na dahil baka ikaw na ang susunod na mananalo
At maging Lotto Milyonaryo. Araw-araw, let's play Lotto! Dito lang yan sa DATV at IBC.
For teachers, knowing what to teach is easy. Getting students to listen to what you teach and loving it, that's where the challenge begins. For teacher Ramil, going inside the head of students is what keeps him ahead.
Yo, follow me!
Ramil amazed the students. In New York was amazed.
Listen, positive slope, negative slope, zero slope, and undefined. Undefined. What is a zero slope?
New York honored him with a Big Apple Education Award for his extraordinary way of teaching. Ramil beat 3,000 other nominees.
I love my Filipino bro.
I'm Teacher Emil, and I'm the Philippines.
Welcome back to the PH Insider on TV. Now, the Senate has a new direction. The challenge now is turning political victory into public service. So let's bring back Attorney DJ Jimenez and Professor Dennis and Dr. Zen. Pag-usapan ulit natin itong Senado na to. Now that the leadership question has already been resolved, medyo naayos na to, settled na, no? Itong usapin ng leadership sa Senado. Anong dapat asahan ng mga Pilipino, lalong-lalo ng mga pangkaraniwang mamamayang katulad ko, matapos itong kontrobersyang bumalot sa the very institution? Alam mo, yung integridad, yung kredibilidad ng institusyon nito, mayroon pa pag-asang manumbalik ang sigla na meron dati ang Senado bilang isang institusyon.
Dito sa nangyari the past few days, no, or even weeks, no, talagang dito na-miss natin yung August body that we used to adore, no, yung mga dating statesmen, ano, na mga dati nating leaders. Talagang sirang-sira ang Senado. At kung sino man ang sumira, your guess is as good as mine, no? So talagang it will take big effort to ensure na mabalik yung image ng Senado, no? But I think siguro baby steps lang. Ipakita lang nila na hindi na mauulit, no? Yung dating nangyari, and nakakahiya kasi tayo, no? Even in the international community talagang pinagtatawanan tayo, and I guess ano yan, kumbaga medyo bagsak na nga ekonomiya ng Pilipinas sa mga nangyayari, lalo pang ang pangit ng image. Kailangan umayos sila, no? At para sila umayos, although nag-call ng special session ng Malacanang because of urgent measures, but aside from those, tingin ko, magpakita sila talaga ng not just decency, pero magtrabaho. No? Ang ating Senado is supposed to be engaged in lawmaking. So, number one, siguro yung anti-political dynasty, pakita nila na meron na at ipasa nila.
At yun mas dapat tutukan siguro.
Yes, yung freedom of information law, no? Pangunahan nila. Lahat ng mga batas, maliban dun sa urgent measures para sa taong bayan, i-push nila. And of course, andyan din ang impeachment. So, ipakita nila na during the impeachment proceedings, talaga namang they will engage as fair and honorable men and women. Yung tinatawag na neutrality, yung called and neutrality of a judge, kailangan ipakita nila. Hindi yung very political. But again, baby steps.
With what happened to the Senate, whether we admit it or not, medyo malaking danyos doon sa institusyon. Pero the way I see it, that's not something irreparable. I mean, it's something that's not beyond, repair. Marami pang pwedeng gawin. Although it's gonna be a Herculean or tedious process, pero pwede pa. Tama ba yun, Dr. Zan? Do you agree? Mayroon pag-asa?
Yes, meron pa naman. Bawi na lang sila kasi now that the Senate, they have resolved the leadership role, no? So they are going to go back to what they really are supposed to be doing. They passed the stalled bills that they were talking about, the appointment of the military officers. But in the next few months after this, so they're going to have a recess, they'll be coming back on July. The focus will now be on them being a, what do you call that, a judicial political arena. Kasi impeachment na to
Correct.
So it's really very strategic for them because the Senate President, all eyes will now be on the Senate President. And the majority black, because the Senate President is the gatekeeper of the impeachment trial. So he holds what? He chooses the secretariat, he controls the timing of the trial. So yung mata ng mga tao na sa kanila Are they, ng mata ng tao sa kanila. So the move that happened right now dramatically actually tilts the playing field against the Vice President. So all eyes will be there. Plus the fact that given the kind of situation that we are in, the deep impact as the July 6 trial gets underway, we could see probably a sharp polarization in the Senate. Rather, the sharp polarization in the Senate will trickle down din sa grassroots level. And we saw that in media, di ba? Nagkakaroon na ng hatian. Minsan may nagko-comment na, it's really out of the way. But that is how we're going to see it.
Yeah. Okay.
Following yung sinabi ni Prof, the presiding officer will play a vital role as to how people will see the Senate. And interestingly, baka hindi nyo alam, naglabas ng bagong rules ang Senate in choosing the presiding officer. So it will not exactly be
Senator
Win.
The Senate President. Not necessarily the Senate President.
Hindi naman siya lawyer kasi.
Yes.
It can be anybody else.
Quite interestingly, nung sila ay nag-convene, may inilabas silang Senate rules na majority can choose the presiding officer, and very likely any of the lawyers. Maaring Senator Kiko Pangilinan from the majority might act as presiding officer. So abangan natin yan.
It's not definitely gonna be the Chief Justice, right? Because pero meron sinasabi sa Constitution, the President may be removed by, and in the same manner.
Sa case law ng President.
So dito,
does not necessarily apply to the Vice President being like the okay. So certain na tayo doon. somebody from the majority.
Yeah. And probably a lawyer.
Yes.
Pero is it required that the one who's going to preside the impeachment trial should be a lawyer?
Actually, hindi. But since this is a judicial and political process, kung hindi ka abogado, you will head an impeachment proceeding. Napakahirap nun. Napakahirap. At syempre, lalo na kung hindi na, we are not undermining the capacity of Senate President Win to lead the Senate. But insofar as impeachment proceedings, parang korte ito quasi-judicial, kumbaga. So talagang it would ease the process kung abogado, because you can expect a lot of objections coming from other lawyers.
Precisely.
Sabi ko nga, maglagay ka ng dalawang abogado, baka apat pa yung opinion yan. So, kaya maaaring maging magulo.
Can you just imagine kung ilang abogado yung sa prosecution and the defense?
Yeah. And then tapos ang magpe-preside, hindi lawyer. So medyo
intricate.
mahirap. It's going to be difficult. So buti na lang naglabas na sila ng kanilang internal rules.
Well, anong major legislation kaya pwedeng maapektuhan itong pagbabago sa Senado ngayon? Prof. Dennis, meron ka bang nakikitang malaking national issue or legislation for that matter?
Nasabi na kanina ni Attorney DJ na yung anti-dynasty bill. Kasi if you're going to compare how the anti-dynasty bill fares in both houses, mas nangunguna na yung yung sa House of Representatives. Kaya nga lately itong House of Representatives has been getting good reviews compared to the Senate, So dapat siguro mag-catch up yung Senado in terms of kasi ang opinion ng mga most political analysts is that the Senate version of the anti-dynasty bill is the better version. Oo, ito daw kasing sa House version, hindi siya anti-dynasty bill, siya daw ay pro-dynasty bill. So, ako hinihintay ko yung kumbaga man i-iron out na yung differences between the two versions of this anti-dynasty bill. Yeah.
Okay. Dr. Zen, yung paano ang impact nito sa relasyon ng Senado, ng House of Representatives, at even the Executive Department?
I would want to focus on the relationship of setting a precedence of the executive, let's say, executive encroachment.
Okay.
Because it's very political. Although the Constitution allows that the President can call for a special session, the way the crisis is solved sets a heavy precedent for the balance of power kasi in the Philippines. Diba? Kasi it's very rare that the President calls for a special session in Congress, although the President justified that the Senate has to go back to work because there are pending bills. That is actually true.
Right.
But perhaps there is really something more than just that. Diba?
Or behind that.
Or behind that, Kasi the Senate traditionally prides itself of being an independent chamber of Congress, a true checks and balance, diba, against the President. However, ang tingin ko dyan kasi, parang the Senate minority, anong tinitingnan ng President? The Senate minority cannot handle themselves without, the President calling for a special session. So he called for a special session for the very reason that other laws should be passed right now. But it also gave the floor for the 13th vote to be to proceed yesterday.
Right.
Diba? So what does it say about our relationship? Does it set a precedent? The next time the minority happens to be this way, the President can actually do this again.
Right. Okay. So what should we watch closely as we go on? I mean, as the Senate, considering that may bagong liderato, ano dapat abangan natin dito beyond politics?
Performance.
Okay.
Of course, since natapos na yung Senate flicks, na hindi naman sila naging productive while it was happening, we don't expect another power struggle within the Senate. We expect them to perform. We expect the senators to catch up with the lost time. At saka yung period na parang nagpahinga sila sa pagtatrabaho, puro politika yung natupag. So, Ako yun, ayoko na makita na isa pang change of leadership. Oo.
Sobra na
Anytime
ito.
soon, ayoko na.
Magpanglima pa to, attorney.
Yun nga lang, ako tingin ko whether it's going to be, there will be a change of leadership or not. Madami kasing pwedeng mangyari in the next couple of months. Next year will be filing of candidacy.
Yeah.
So, will the impeachment be an election issue? And if so, will the Senate or the senators vote according to their conscience or political interest? So, yan yung mga siguro aabangan natin. At I join the observation of Prof. Here na sana hindi na mangyari yung kaguluhan. Dahil alam mo, when may kasabihan nga, when elephants clash, it's the grass or the ants that gets crushed. So tayo rin ang talo
Totoo yan.
Ang taong bayan, tuwan-tuwa, madami nag-i-enjoy sa pinapanood nila, pero sa dulo they don't realize that it's people's money that goes to waste. So tayo rin actually ang talo. So
Yung long-term effect
sana maibalik yung decency, Hindi lamang sa Senado, kundi sa lahat ng antas ng gobyerno.
All right, let's talk about the new leadership in the Senate. Okay, let's begin with pro tempore Senator Tito Soto. Si Doc Zen, what can you say about the new leadership, specifically the speaker, the pro tempore?
I think he's very capable, He's been there for so many years. He knows what he's doing. He does his job well, I guess.
He's got the credibility.
Yes, he does have the credibility. Same thing goes with all the other Senate committee chairs. I think they're situated in such possible way that they can actually do their job. I hope they continue doing their job well.
Keeping fingers crossed.
Yes, that's it.
Okay, how about you?
Before the Cayetano-led bloc seized power and took the leadership of the Senate, itong si Senator Tito Soto was the Senate President. Ngayon makikita mo na bumaba siya ng pwesto.
Yes.
We were expecting na siya ulit Pero bumaba siya ng pwesto siguro for political consideration. Diba? So sa akin lang, since may mga compromises dyan para mabalik na naman sa kanila yung majority, wag na sana nilang pakawalan ulit. Kasi I think may pagkukulang rin naman sila when Soto was in charge. And that paved the way for some of their members to transfer to the Cayetano-led bloc.
Attorney, what can you say about Senator Tito Soto? Now being the Senate pro tempore.
Luzon hanggang Hulo,
Mula
Pari hanggang Hulo. Well, in fairness naman sa ating mga elected senators, they are elected senators. So regardless of personalities nila, as long as sila ay magtatrabaho, and Senator Soto has been there since time immemorial. So he knows what to do. So let's look at the Senate as a collegial body, try to take out yung mga personalities para hindi sasama ang loob natin. And sana maibalik yung dangal. And as I said, si Senator Soto naman knows his job and of course learning from what had happened. Tama si Prof kanina na wag na silang gagawa ng hakbang para magkaroon pa ng dahilan na may umalis sa kanila. Because that will again bring about instability in the Senate. And yung kaninang tinanong ko nga, ganito rin ba nangyayari sa ibang bansa? Parang hindi. Mukhang sa Pilipinas lang ata mostly yung ganito So sana maibalik yung dangal sa Senado.
Well, pag Senator Tito Soto, parang mula pa rin sa haba ng tinakbo ng Bulagait. Di ba? But, seriously, yung tinatakbo niya bilang, yung pagiging senador for the longest time.
For the longest
I think it's more than enough for us to say na, he's got the credibility to perform his duty now as the Senate pro tempore. Pag-usapan natin itong bagong chairman ng Blue Ribbon Committee, Senator Erwin Tulfo. What can you say about him? Professor Dennis?
Well, I'm not sure, pero is he still the chairman of the Senate Blue Ribbon Committee? Well, kung siya pa, I think mahirap, very challenging yung trabaho niya. Kasi, of course, yan nga yung pinaghihimutok ng minority group ngayon. Bago sila naging majority, before they seized power, sabi nila, very unfair yung pag-handle ni Senator Lacson ng Senate Blue Ribbon Committee. Kasi one-sided when it comes to the flood control mess.
Selective, kumbaga.
Yes. Oo. So, yun ang magiging tanong, yun ang magiging challenge kay Senator Tulfo. Will he follow the style of Senator Lacson, or will he have his own style?
And I think totoo yun pakita lang ng Senado na talagang independent sila by not being selective sa kanilang Senate inquiries. Tingin ko yung tao naman, the Filipinos are not stupid, so to speak. Alam naman nila kung pinifilter mo o hindi.
Yes.
So, di patawag nila kung, ultimately, the truth will all set us free. So, kung sino yung dapat ipatawag.
Ako, gusto kong abangan dito yung makita yung prowess niya as an investigative journalist ito
Of course.
Tignan natin kung magagamit doon sa pagdating sa investigasyon. Di ba, Doc Zen?
And he's very, mabusisi magtanong. So,
Yes.
Bagay din sa kanya yun, kung tutuusin.
I mean, I'm sure, napakaraming interviews na pinagdaan. Siguro naman yung paghalukay ng mga datos.
Matapang.
Matapang siya. So, pakita niya na hindi siya selective.
That's the most
Matutuwa ang
important
taong
thing.
bayan sa kanya.
Okay, let's talk about Senator Jesus Escudero being the presiding officer sa impeachment trial ni VP Sara Duterte. Si Dr. Zen gusto kong unahin kasi biglang napangiti. Okay.
that is interesting.
Interesting.
Actually,
Okay.
that is quite interesting. Just like what I mentioned earlier, di ba? Malaki ang role ng Senate, the one who's going to preside the impeachment trial. It's interesting for me kasi he came from the majority bloc before, now the minority bloc. And it's a question of people looking at him on how he really is going to perform. Would he be fair and just, or we really cannot determine, but I guess people will be, the eyes of the people will be looking at him on how he is going to perform in case, di ba, he gets to be the presiding officer.
Yes. Titignan din doon kung magsisurface ba yung mga personal biases.
Yes.
Okay.
Ako, Sir Rox, yung plano pa lang daw naman ng majority bloc to appoint him as the presiding officer of the during the impeachment trial. It brings back memories from the past.
Right.
From last year, during the 19th Congress.
Stroll down memory lane.
Remember,
Siya rin
Oo, siya nagbago ng definition of forthwith.
Yes.
Dinelay niya. Hanggang finally, when he convened the impeachment court, the Senate as an impeachment court, dinismiss. So ang tanong, ulitin niya ba ito?
Correct.
Well, hindi naman siguro, kasi he belongs to a different block right now. So baka ang iniisip ko, baka bumawi. Di ba? Baka bumawi siya sa kanyang past performance. So, but, I don't know. Ako, meron akong reservation. Kasi there's another lawyer naman in the majority block.
Na-mention niya kanina, Senator Kiko.
Senator Kiko. Pero ang plan yata ng majority block is to appoint him as the impeachment manager.
I see. Okay.
I don't know if that's going to push through.
See, what can you say about that, Attorney DJ?
What can I say about cheese, no? Say cheese. Well, Cheese Escudero has been a trial practitioner. So in terms of competence in managing an impeachment proceeding, he possesses the qualification. Ngayon, of course, I guess it would also be acceptable to the opposition kasi kasama nila dati. So tingin ko parang compromise nga si Cheese as a presiding officer. And sa dulo, maganda yung mga issues that will come out, no? And how they will manage it. But I don't see as much problem kasi ang presiding officer, you will preside Hindi naman ikaw totally ang magde-decide ng lahat.
Precisely.
If and when he decides on the admissibility of evidence, I am sure he will decide based on the law. So, tingin ko hindi naman magiging issue yung dati siyang kasamahan ng opposition, ngayon nasa majority na siya, as long as he will just stick to what it's legal,
Yes, okay.
no problem.
Yes,
Him as a presiding.
At the end of the day, facilitator lang naman. Anyway, as we are concluding, statement, Dr. Zen, for tonight, for the Filipino people watching us.
Well, yeah, it's fascinating. You know, the individual political maneuverings that we saw in the past few weeks is actually fascinating for most of the people. And even my students are fascinated by it. They learn a lot from it. But what we have to understand is that we have to have a deeper need to look into the how this entire situation reshapes the landscape of Philippine politics. This is not just about the survival of each of every senator. I think this has something to do with the impeachment trial coming July.
Yes.
So it's something that we have to look forward to. So ngayon magre-recess sila. So let's see what will happen next.
It's kind of geared all towards to that direction.
Yes, it's
Okay.
actually.
Well, ako naman, Sir Ox, in the past few episodes, we've been covering this, the events that had unfolded in the Senate.
Yes.
Oo. So, natutuwa ako kasi medyo, alam mo, yung tinatawag na fatigue. Oo, na nararanasan ko na eh. Lalo pa, madalas pinag-uusapan to ng mga, sa mga interviews. Oo. So, I'm glad that it's finally over.
Okay.
Oo. Yan tinatawag na Senate Flix or Senate Serie. Sana wala ng bagong season. Oo.
Isa to sa mga pinaka-click na kwento ngayon topics.
That's right.
Okay, attorney.
Ako, although the Senate Flix has seemingly ended now, no, but I pray and I hope, no, na in the future, in the coming days or months, talagang they will stick to what the law is, to what the Constitution provides. And of course, if again the Abelino issue will come into play, I really hope that the Supreme Court will eventually come up with a resolution as to how these are to be treated, because it would end a potential constitutional crisis. Or kahit hindi constitutional, institutional crisis. Kasi kung anong sabihin ng Korte Suprema, susunod lamang naman ang Senado. So, oras pagsalita ang Korte Suprema, mawawala na yung sinasabing hindi. Sumunod lang ang Senado sa Malacanang, sa executive. Ang pangit although in our system of government, each branch should be interdependent with each other, pero yung parang dinidiktahan ng isang branch of government ang isa, it doesn't make the government look good. So, the Supreme Court can help a lot. And I do hope in time they would eventually resolve this more permanently.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much for this truly meaningful conversation with you, Dr. Zen.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining me in the show.
Thank you so much. It was really an honor.
Thank you, Prof. Dennis. Siyempre.
Always a pleasure, sir.
In-house.
Yeah, always a pleasure.
Organic. Attorney DJ, maraming salamat. Truly an honor to have you guys in this show this evening. Tonight's events remind us that in politics, leadership may change overnight, but the challenges facing the nation remain. The true measure of power is not how it's won, but how it is used. Not in counting votes, but in delivering results. Not in political victories, but in public service. As the dust settles and a new chapter begins, Filipinos will be watching. Not the promises, not the speeches, but the actions. Because at the end of the day, the Senate does not belong to any faction, any bloc, or any political personality. It belongs to the Filipino people. I am Ox Baliado. Good night, and thank you for watching. This is the PH Insider on TV.